In the early NLP, we basically, in NLP Volume 1, was all about one mind, the cognitive mind.
The cognitive mind.
The conscious cognitive mind. And we realized a long time ago, you need more than that.
Pretty sure.
It's not enough.
I used to think in the early days of NLP when they would talk about, well, you know, there's vision and imaging, and there's, you know, the ability to have conversation with myself or to hear things. But then there's this other part of the system sort of from the neck down. What the hell do you do with that? You know, so, you know, it holds, yeah, it holds emotion. So it's sort of the vessel that holds emotion. But it wasn't looked at as a system that has memory, that thinks, that integrates information in and of itself as a mind. And this was the somatic mind. And it's pretty hard to live without it. You know, those of you who really like to think linearly, it's pretty hard to live without the other part.
So we can say that there's intellectual intelligence and there's emotional intelligence. Ideas come from the brain and the cognitive mind. Energy comes from the body. Ideas without energy go nowhere. You need energy. You need emotional intelligence. You know, in the development of a human being, from the time the cell divides and begins to grow, it takes 30 days from the time that the egg is fertilized until the first neuron appears. You have no nerve, all the cells are not nerve cells until 30 days. Then the first nerve cell begins to divide and grow and begins to form what they call the neural crest, which is a little cluster of nerves. When that gets big enough, it splits in two. One goes here, one goes there. It's like you get two brains. One goes there, one goes there. You've got at least more than 100 million cells down here. The neuroscientists calculate that what's called the enteric nervous system has the intelligence of at least a cat. So you've got a cat's brain down here, right? Which probably explains a lot of things. Because there are times when it's purring, and there's times, you know, when it's psst. You've also got a whole nervous system that is not only nerve cells but others in the heart. Yeah. It's a fascinating book that's called The Heart's Code, written by a man that interviewed 97 heart transplant patients. And they discovered that one of the most common features of a heart transplant patient is a big change in personality. A person gets a heart transplant and they have a personality. One example, a person gets heart transplant. After he recovers, he begins to act very strangely. Starts craving foods that he'd never liked before. Begins to become obsessed with certain kind of music he never liked. Begins to find himself going places, and he doesn't know why he's going there. And it's all a big mystery until they began to look into the history of the donor. And they found that those foods were the favorite foods of the donor. The donor was a musician, and that was the music that the donor played. That these places where significant events had happened in the life of the donor. Somehow that had all been transferred in the heart. Because the patient didn't know anything about the donor before that. So you've got a brain here. It's not just that this is a machine and you coordinate it all from up here. You think here too.
And you think here. And here. And here. And in fact, the field that's created through the heart, the electromagnetic field of the heart, is many, many times bigger than the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, many, many times bigger.
So, however, some situations you need more than that. You need to call in the reinforcements. Yeah. This is the essence of collective intelligence, of what is known as what we call the field mind. That there's a bigger mind that is beyond this mind. Gregory Bateson said the individual mind is a subsystem in a larger mind. That there is an intelligence that comes from people getting together that is possible, that is not possible when you're by yourself.
You find yourself saying things or having ideas in conversation with another person that you would never say if you were by yourself. You would have never had that thought. You would have never had that conversation alone. And that's field mind.
For those of you, especially you trainers, the field mind is going to be one of the most important minds for you.